Hi, I'm Amy Fitzgerald. I'm an editorial director for Carolrhoda Books at Lerner Publishing Group. I'm in charge of our middle grade and young adult novels, and we have some great ones to share with you this fall. For our middle grade crowd, there's Name Tags and Other Sixth Grade Disasters by Ginger Garrett, in which our heroine Lisbeth gets off on very much the wrong foot at her new school. She's immediately slapped with an embarrassing name tag, she gets targeted by bullies right out of the gate, and she's forced to team up with three outcast kids, known to the rest of her class as the Weirdos, to come up with a contribution for a mandatory school talent show. But none of these setbacks dent her determination to make friends and influence people, including her dad, whose girlfriend she's vowed to get rid of by any means necessary in the hope of getting her divorced parents back together. Meanwhile, the Weirdos decide to do an art project because, as their checked out art teacher sarcastically says, if you don't have a real talent, you might as well do art. But as Lisbeth learns more about art principles and gets to know the Weirdos better, she starts to rethink a lot of her assumptions, from the labels that she's placed on other people to the picture she's had in her head of what kind of person she should be and what her life is supposed to look like. I personally gravitated toward this book because it had me laughing right away. I really love Lisbeth's irreverent, offbeat sense of humor and the way the story turns well-worn tropes on their heads. Oh, and I can't forget Super Chicken, the comic hero that the Weirdos create in their spare time. Long live Super Chicken. This is the side of Super Chicken. So this is a delightfully tongue-in-cheek story intertwined with a sensitive exploration of how to find confidence in yourself and open up to others, even when it seems like everything you care about is out of your control. Next, we have a young adult novel, Jenny Liu's Like Spilled Water, set in present-day China. This is a subtly suspenseful story that gripped me from the very first page when 19-year-old Na finds out that her younger brother has died. She's always thought of her brother as the lucky one, the spoiled one, because their parents have poured all their resources into getting him the best possible education, while Na felt like more of an afterthought. Her father uses the phrase, "having a daughter is like spilled water," essentially a waste, while her brother has gotten all their parents' attention and all the opportunities they could buy him. But Na soon finds out that her brother's death happened under mysterious circumstances, and that he wasn't the perfect student and obedient son that she believed him to be. Na starts uncovering her brother's secrets while also dealing with her parents' expectation that she'll quit her own schooling and go to work to help them with their money troubles. This leads her to question many of the cultural values her family has long taken for granted: reverence for parents, clear gender roles, and generally a lack of opportunities for individual expression in a collective society. This is partly a mystery, partly a coming-of-age story, and overall an immersive look into a society very different from the US, but still grappling with very relatable challenges. How do you pursue your personal dreams when societal barriers stand in the way? How do you break a tradition of silence around difficult topics? And how do you deal with the emotional impacts of issues you yourself aren't well informed about? One thing I love about this story is that while Na does have many misconceptions and gaps in her knowledge about issues like mental health, sexual orientation, and feminism, she confronts her own ignorance and pushes herself to change her thinking. And ultimately, she finds the courage to both honor her brother's memory and stand up for her own future. And finally, we've got another YA novel, How to Live on the Edge by Sarah Schierger. You almost couldn't find a protagonist more different from Na in Like Spilled Water. 18-year-old Cayenne is a proud risk-taker and confounder of expectations. Her mother died of breast cancer when Cayenne was a toddler, and since the disease seems to run in her family, Cayenne has always assumed she'll die young too. So she figures she may as well live large and chase adrenaline while she can. But then her aunt, who's raised her, learns from a genetic test that she has a gene mutation that's strongly linked with breast and ovarian cancer. Cayenne now has to help her aunt prepare for an elective mastectomy to reduce her chances of getting breast cancer in the future, while also grappling with whether she herself should get tested for this gene mutation. On the one hand, knowledge is power, but on the other hand, ignorance is bliss, and planning for the future has never been her strong suit. Plus, she's a little freaked out by the idea of someday sacrificing her breasts and ovaries in an attempt to fend off cancer that may or may not work, and that could forever change how others see her and how she sees herself. Gradually, though, she revises her ideas about what it means to be a woman. Spoiler alert, body parts are not the main criteria for multiple reasons. And also what it means to really live life to the fullest. The author is herself a carrier of the BRCA gene mutation and has had preventative surgeries to reduce her cancer risks. So she wrote this novel to address how a teenager might deal with the fears and the possibilities that this experience can bring. I think this story perfectly captures what it feels like to be legally an adult, but not have the first clue about how to tackle adult responsibilities and choices that may affect the rest of your life. It's also a lovely portrayal of an unconventional family dealing with the long-term effects of loss and finding a way forward together. So those are our new novels coming out in fall 2020. I hope you'll check them out.